Welcome, everybody, to the City of Farmers Branch City Council study session for Tuesday, September 2nd. Our first item of business is comments from the public. I don't have anybody signed up to speak. Okay, moving on. Next item will be item C1, review and discuss consent and regular agenda items. Councilwoman Bennett? Oh,
None.
okay. Councilman Reed?
Nothing from me.
Councilwoman Villafaña?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Councilman Neal?
Yeah, I have a question on J6. It's regarding the replastering of the natatorium.
Yes, sir.
Yes, can you tell me when was it last plastered?
So
was
that's
the
the
original?
original plaster. The pool just turned 10 years old, and that's the original
Okay.
plaster inside.
And then with this replastering, how long will that extend the life of the?
We just heard from the vendor, typically it'll go 10 to 15 years,
Another 10
typically,
to
and so we're right at the cusp of where it needs to be.
Because I know it
replaced.
gets used a lot, so that's why I ask how long it will last.
Yes,
10,
sir.
10,
So
15.
another 10 plus years.
Okay. That's all I have on J6, Mayor. I do have a question on J8 regarding the elevators for City Hall and Mansky Library. Sorry.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
I was kind of wondering. Okay. Yes, sir.
Can you help me understand what they mean by cab allowance, $20,000?
So I think we have
times 3 or something.
Page here. That is just an upgrade to the. We went ahead and did the upgrade, so it's a different finish on the interiors of those, and so we did that throughout we added that to each of the bids that we had. But I'll see if the vendors here do you have
So what are we doing? Three elevators? Is that what it is? And
the two here at City Hall and the one
to
at
upgrade the interior of each elevator is $20,000 roughly.
Yes, sir. It's a complete redo, so it's all the equipment and all the interior equipment as well.
Well, it seems like a lot to me for such a small area, but I don't know much about elevators, so. And then I have some questions regarding J10 and the fleet.
Good afternoon, Kevin Reinhardt, Fleet Operations Manager.
I'm sorry, can you tell me about I guess a presentation you have?
Do you want to move it to regular?
Yeah, I think probably this might be better for me to
We can do
ask that we move this to the regular agenda for further discussions.
Sure thing.
Yeah, J10. That's all I have, Mayor.
Very good. J10 will become L4 on the regular agenda. Councilman Roman?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Next up is item C2, receive a presentation from Emergency Management regarding the city's response and preparation during an emergency event or disaster.
All right. Council, Mayor, Luke Parton, Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of Farmers Branch. So today we're just going to talk about emergency management and preparedness for the city. All right, so we're just going to talk about kind of what emergency management is, kind of how Farmers Branch does it, pretty standard across all cities. Our regional coordination, both with the North Central Texas region and just the Quad Cities, so Farmers Branch, Carrollton, Addison, Coppell. And then also just communications and alerts. So what is emergency management? Essentially, it's just the preparing for, mitigating against, responding to, and recovering from emergencies or disasters. So how are we getting ready for them and how do we deal with them once they do happen? Because they will happen at some point. So mitigating against them, just trying to reduce the risk or the vulnerability to a specific hazard or disaster. Preparedness, planning for it, training for it, conducting exercises, just trying to get ready for it. Response, so once it happens, how are we responding to it, all that kind of stuff. And the recovery, so how do we get back to normal operations? Once everything is kind of settled down, how are we getting back to normal? Or at least as normal as possible. All right, so Farmers Branch Emergency Management. So we have our emergency operations plan, which is a basic plan, and then we also have, I think, 22 different annexes that go along with that, that cover all different areas of emergency management. It's an all hazards plan, so we don't have specifically like a tornado plan or a severe thunderstorm plan, but we have plans for communications, for sheltering, stuff like that. So kind of covering, no matter what happens, what we would do for different things. Preparedness activities, so we do training and exercises for our city staff. We also do presentations for the community. I have one coming up in a couple weeks, Community Preparedness 101. We'll also have the fire department and police department there talking about their areas of that. And then we're starting a thing called Farmers Branch Ready. So it's basically an awareness campaign, kind of branding emergency management or preparedness within the city. So just trying to get everybody prepared. This is National Preparedness Month, September is, so be expecting some material for that and posts on social media. Just trying to get everyone prepared. The theme this year is preparedness starts at home. So just making sure everyone's prepared for whatever might happen. And then continuity of operations. So after something happens, there is a possibility of there's interruptions to city services. But we can't have that happen because we still have to carry out our essential functions for our residents and businesses. So continuity of operations, which we're finalizing the initial planning stages of that right now. Just making sure that we can get our essential functions back up and running if they're disrupted after an emergency or disaster. All right, coordination with neighboring cities. So the Quad Cities, again, Farmers Branch, Carrollton, Coppell, and Addison, we meet regularly. So we meet once a month for just our monthly meeting with the 4 cities. And we just talking about what we're working on. We coordinate all of our activities so that we're all working together since we are very close knit. And then we are in constant communication. I was just talking to them just a minute ago about something. So if there is any kind of severe weather or anything like that, we're constantly communicating with each other. We also participate in the emergency management support team. That's through the North Central Texas Council of Governments. So if something happened in our city, I could call on them and I could have more emergency managers come and help us. Because if something big happens, there's a lot of stuff to do and we're gonna need help. So I can call on them and they could also call on me to go and help in their cities, which is great because getting experience in somebody else's jurisdiction. We also work really closely with Dallas County. We have quarterly meetings with Dallas County, all the emergency managers, and we work very closely with them if there ever is any kind of severe weather, winter weather, severe storms, anything like that. North Central Texas Council of Governments, so we're involved with a bunch of different working groups with them within the emergency preparedness department of the COG, the Council of Governments, and so we're constantly having meetings and doing trainings and everything like that. And then finally, the Public Works Emergency Response Team, we participate in that. So if we needed any kind of equipment or manpower, we can call on them and get equipment from jurisdictions within the North Texas region. And then we also house some equipment for the Public Works Emergency Response Team. All right, so how are residents notified before, during, and after disasters or emergencies? So outdoor warning sirens, we've all heard them. Hopefully we've all heard them. But we have 8 of them across the city. They are outdoor warning sirens, so they're designed to be heard when you're outdoors. If you're inside your house and you don't hear them and they're going off, there's nothing wrong with them. They're not designed to be heard in your house, especially during severe weather. So if we have a really strong storm going on outside, it's going to cut down kind of how that noise propagates and all that kind of stuff. So we can activate them for severe weather or any other kind of emergency where we want people that are outside to go into their house or into another structure and figure out what's going on. So that could be severe weather, it could be a hazmat release, could be civil unrest, whatever it is, we can activate them for any reason. Again, they're tested on the first Wednesday of every month, so tomorrow we're testing them at 1 p.m. weather permitting. So if there's any kind of rain or anything in the forecast for that day, we're going to cancel the audible test, but we'll still test them quietly so that we're making sure they're still functioning. Branch alert. So it's our city's mass notification system. Hopefully y'all are all signed up. Hopefully all residents are. I would love that. So this allows residents to pick what kind of alerts that they want to receive, and they can sign up for specific ones and however they want to receive them, whether that's text message, phone call, email, and they'll be able to get alerted real time of any kind of watches or warnings that are issued by the National Weather Service. And then we can also push out manual alerts also. If anyone wants to sign up, just go to the city website, farmersbranchtx.gov/alerts, and that'll take them straight to the sign up page. All right, social media and the city website. So if we ever did have to activate the sirens, or if a watch or warning was issued by the National Weather Service, we can post them on social media, or we will post them on social media, so that everyone's kind of aware of what's going on, because we want to make sure that everyone's informed of what's happening. Try and keep everyone safe. And then the city website, if we have anything, so if y'all remember back during the winter storm, we had a page on the city website by the winter storm, I mean, this previous winter storm that we had. We'll post on the city website with any information on disruption to city services like trash pickup, and then any kind of phone numbers that people might need to get information or get help with whatever problems they might have. And finally, NOAA weather radio. So this is a big one. I personally have 2 radios. I have one in my office, I have one in my house. So this is an all hazards radio. They work 24/7. And they are really good because they will be on 24/7. They don't have to be making noise, but if a watch or warning is issued, they'll alert you and let you know, even in the middle of the night, even if your phone isn't going to wake you up with a little ding. They're pretty loud and they'll wake you up. So I encourage everyone to have one. So they also give short-term weather forecasts all day during the day. Unless there's severe weather, then they cut over to the severe weather information. All right, any questions?
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate the presentation. Councilman Neal, you had requested this?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I'd asked for this presentation for multiple reasons. Number one, I guess many of us are familiar with the tragedy that occurred down in Kerrville, as well as it being National Preparedness Month this month. And a question I do have is, have we learned anything from the Kerrville tragedy or disaster that would make us or have a need to make an adjustment to any of our mechanisms in emergency management going forward?
So far, we're still waiting on the official after action. So once that comes out, that's going to be very valuable for us to see. I know communication was a huge, not really issue, but it was a huge point with that event. And so we're definitely making sure that all our bases are covered with branch alert, city website, making sure people know how to get informed.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that our city's prepared. I know we have a section of town, Wooded Creek area, is a little concerned with erosion right now and potential storm issues there. So I want to make sure that we're at least prepared from an emergency management perspective. And any lessons learned, I hope you'll bring back to us as soon as you learn of anything that we might need to alter or adjust in our current plans. Can you tell me when will our next sort of test, if you will, of the entire system to make sure that we work out any bugs and kinks in the or do you have a disaster planning scenario once a year, twice a year or something? Could you help me with that?
Yeah. So we try and do a kind of a tabletop scenario at least once a year with our EOC staff. And that kind of just, it's kind of a discussion of a scenario, and we go through all the points from before it happens to after into the recovery. So yeah, we do at least one of those a year. We just did one for continuity just a couple of weeks ago, going over a continuity plan, and then had a kind of a tabletop of what that looks like after a situation.
When will you do that again? You did it in August. You going to do it next August or January?
We're planning for in the spring.
Okay.
Or in the late winter, early spring.
Okay. And I heard you mention that there might be some additional notes or news commentary, social media going out, being that this is National Preparedness Month. Can you expound on that a little bit? Is it just some social media posting? Are we going to put something in the water bills? How's that going to work?
Yeah, we're going to be posting preparedness tips, and then also I have my preparedness presentation in 2 weeks on the 16th, and that'll be going over everything for emergency preparedness, and then fire in your house, kind of fire preparedness at your home, and then also just home safety.
Great, great. That's all I have, Mayor. Just make sure you come back with us if there's any additional needs for our emergency management.
Very good. Thank you so much. Councilwoman Bennett?
So District 3, my first baby, is in a floodplain. So Kerrville really is important, and that's where my concern is. But Rawhide flooded the last time, and when it did, it flooded somebody's car. And that car was parked on pretty high ground. So, and I walked it again yesterday. There's still stuff in it that was there 6 weeks ago, that was there 4 months ago. So how do we mitigate that? How do we get the trash out that we know is going to obstruct some of the flow for flooding specifically?
Yeah, so I believe that is a floodplain in that area along Rawhide. I can't tell you specifically, but yeah. So biggest thing is I want to make sure that residents are alerted in the event that there is any kind of flooding or severe weather that could cause flooding.
Do we have alerts over across Rawhide for that? I just don't know that we do.
So I would encourage residents to get branch alert because that'll alert them
Okay.
of any flash flood warnings or anything like that.
Fair. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Reed?
You might not know the answer to this, but do you have an approximate idea of how many residents are signed up for Branch Alert?
It's,
Sorry to throw a
no,
curveball
yeah.
at you.
It's around, I believe, 2,500 to 3,000 residents, somewhere around in there.
Okay, so less than 10%?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know, like, with the rains that we had the other night, I'm signed up. I think it's fantastic. If you receive a warning and you don't respond because it asks you to say yes if you've received it to confirm, will it send out another warning later on?
So if you've signed up to receive multiple methods, so if you signed up for the first time, it's going to try and text message you. If you don't respond yes to that, it'll send you a phone call. But if you catch that first text and you respond, yes, I received it, or confirm that I received it, then it'll stop it right there and it's not going to give you a phone call. But it's not going to continue to send you text messages over and over, letting you know of the warning.
Okay, so it just goes down
Yep.
the tree of, text to phone.
Yeah, whatever order you put it in, whenever you signed up for Branch Alert, it'll go in that order.
Okay. And this is a system that I highly recommend because whether it's the storm the other night, makes you aware of flood warning, or anything else that's going on, it's fantastic to have that news ahead of time. So it gives you the opportunity to prepare yourself and your family for any potential emergency. And that's always the first step, is notification. And it's a great means, and I think every resident should be taking advantage of it.
I agree.
Councilwoman Villafranca?
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate the Branch Alerts. Just for our audience, can you tell us how we can subscribe to Branch Alert?
Yeah, if you just go to the city website, farmersbranchtx.gov/alerts, and that'll take you straight to the sign-up page.
And every time I get one, I just feel like they got us. It just feels really good to know. Could you repeat? I didn't get the date and the time of the program that you're going to be doing, the training.
Yes, it is on September 16th from 5:30 to 7:30
And it'll be hosted where?
at Mansky Library.
Perfect. Also, while you were talking about all of this, it just dawned on me, I have no idea how to turn off the gas at my house. Is that something you're going to talk about at the training, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can include that.
And I would
Absolutely.
venture to say a lot of people probably don't. The other thing I wanted to mention is we had a great program at our Rotary Club this past week, and it was Metro X talking about the big, that big 2-day,
3-day.
3-day.
days.
Can you tell us a little bit about it, and can you tell us what our city is doing to participate? And I understand that they have a huge call for volunteers as well. Maybe can
Yes.
you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, so Metro X, for those of y'all that aren't familiar, it's the large-scale exercise that we're doing across the entire north central Texas region. The scenario is a complex coordinated terrorist attack. So they're kind of modeling it off of FIFA that's coming next year, the World Cup. And so they want to kind of get prepared for that because it's, unfortunately kind of a big target for the North Texas area. So it is across 3 days, October 27th through the 29th. And it's going to be multiple cities, multiple locations all across the Metroplex. We do not have an official role in the Metro X exercise, which is kind of weird to say, but I will be participating in it kind of as through the emergency management support team. We'll be responding to one of the locations to kind of help them with the scenario, whatever it is at that location. They haven't told us because they want to keep it a secret, so it's more lifelike. But yes, they are looking for volunteers, both actors, kind of victims, if you will, and just actors make it more realistic for the first responders, because we want to make it as realistic as possible. We don't want just somebody sitting there with a card saying, I'm injured. We want them to act, make it more realistic. I don't have the information on that specifically right now, but I can get it to y'all on how people can sign up to do that.
Fantastic. And finally, can you tell us what kind of radio you said we should probably have at home? We don't have one.
Yeah, a NOAA weather radio. NOAA stands for National Oceanic Administration. Atmospheric Administration, yeah. So it's a weather radio. The one that I have is kind of a base station. It's not always talking to me, but it is always receiving the information from the National Weather Service directly. And if there was let's just say a tornado warning issued, the siren's going to go off. It's going to wake me up. I'm already awake anyways if there's a storm, but it would wake me up just in case I wasn't for some reason.
Great, thank you so much. And whoever's putting the social media together also is doing a phenomenal job when we have situations like this. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Councilman Roman?
Yeah, just a quick question about, a few questions. So can you remind me if the outdoor sirens, are those automated, or is that something that we manually control?
So we manually activate those depending on the situation. But yeah, it would be a manual activation for those.
Okay. And whenever you guys do your monthly testing, are there any issues that you've noticed that have given you any concern?
Nope, we haven't had any issues with them for quite a while, at least since I've been with the city.
Okay. And then just to hop on a little bit of Councilwoman Burton's comment about the flooding, I think, there's certainly, weather that provokes flooding in a specific area because of the amount of rain in general, but then I think there's also, it's situational, so maybe even light rain could create flooding in a specific area because of certain factors like, maybe there's a blockage, or maybe there's an area always floods because there's construction going on and there are guards on the sewer area where the water is supposed to go. So in those instances, what do you guys do? Because it's still sort of a weather-related emergency that occurs, maybe not to the level where there's mass flooding in a specific area, but there's flooding that's occurring as a result of some action from the city or inaction of the city.
Yeah, I know that a lot of times with construction, there can be some kind of street flooding, and that's to do with the silt barrier that I have to put up for the drainage. And that's unfortunately a little unavoidable. Luckily, it kind of goes away pretty quickly, but just reminding residents, if you see any kind of flooded roadways, turn around, don't drown. I don't think we have any areas that are that bad where you would drown in it, but definitely there can be some problem areas, and just reminding residents, don't go through any kind of floodwaters or anything like that.
Okay, so there's currently not some way to monitor that and let the residents in that specific area know?
We would know based on reports from either residents or from any city staff that notice it while it's happening. And those would come straight back to emergency management and city management, and we'd be able to get alerts out if it was pretty bad flooding or anything like that. But yeah.
Okay, I would just say, I would just encourage you guys to look into that, because oftentimes if you're driving down, for instance, Valley View, that area, and B Street floods often, and by the time you've started to go down Valley View, it's too late to stop and turn around, so people have to go through or find some way to block traffic and make a U-turn somewhere safely. And so I know that I've gotten messages from the residents who live in the townhome area and who work in that area as well, who have said that they wish that there was some sort of warning alerting them that there's a flood issue, so that they could have either proceeded with caution or avoided the area completely. So maybe just something, if it's something that we can do, then great. If not, I understand it fits outside of the capabilities of our technology.
Yeah, if we're aware of the flooding, we can absolutely send something out. So that's definitely doable through branch alert. We can send out manual alerts.
Yeah. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate the info.
One statement. FBTX Connect does have, I think it's one of the items on the front to report flooding and something like that. Another great tool to have in addition to Branch Alert, FBTX Connect, to report not only this, but any other issues. So when a resident does experience a flooding area, they can report it, and it allows us as a city to respond that much more quickly.
Absolutely. Yep.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is item C3, discuss an amendment to the Code of Ordinances relating to parking regulations for oversized vehicles in residential areas.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. I'm Barry Boyd, Community Services Manager, and I am here to present the oversized vehicle, to make the oversized vehicle presentation today. First, the ordinance objectives here is to regulate commercial and oversized vehicle parking in residential areas, reduce overcrowding of vehicles on residential streets, improve the livability of the residents in the neighborhood, and reduction of weight to residential streets here in our community. There have not been any ordinance changes since the late 1990s with respect to oversized vehicles here in our city. And as stated, current ordinance provides no regulations with respect to oversized vehicles here in our community. Proposed ordinance changes was to allow a 24-hour grace period for the oversized vehicle operators to come in compliance with the ordinance. The definition for the vehicle here in Farmers Branch currently is any vehicle motorized or non-motorized that's operated over our residential streets or over a waterway here in Farmers Branch. The oversized vehicle is defined in our ordinance currently is any vehicle greater than 10,000 pounds. With the proposed ordinance, there'll be no parking of oversized vehicles, RVs, boats, box trucks, or anything greater than 9 feet in width or 21 feet in length. And there'll be no parking of storing of vehicles at the side yard or in the rear yard without proper screening that covers the vehicle entirely. Research was done in looking at all the communities surrounding us in our area. And this proposed ordinance would put us pretty much in line with all of the surrounding communities. Any questions?
Councilman Neal, I know I brought this up, but I'll let you go first on this.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. This is something that I brought up some time ago. And
Yes.
Mayor also was highly interested in this. Thank you very much for your presentation. I do know that the mayor has put together a select committee to review this same issue. And I'm just hopeful that between what the city has put forth, and I do like what you have written here in this current ordinance, that we can meld that together with whatever sort of update that we can get from this select committee the mayor has, and see if we can flush out any issues or concerns there. So I'm hopeful that you'll have an opportunity to work with this committee. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Mayor, if you have anything you want to add from that committee. I know they were supposed to meet just last week, I believe. If there's anything you want to share, but I'm hoping we can sort of pull these two together and make some movement on this.
Absolutely. So I'll give you a little update. We did have our second meeting last week. We have another one coming up next week. And this is a task force to help me better understand the issue of boats, campers, RVs, and trailers. Those are the items that most residents contact me about. So while I am the one heading up this task force, this is only to advise me of how to proceed in my own opinion.
Yes, sir.
This task force is not speaking for the city yet, although I'm sure some of the task force members will come to a future council meeting to show support. One of the biggest issues that we're faced with these type of vehicles is aesthetics. There's two issues: aesthetics and the fact that they're in driveways, taking up space, and creating on-street parking issues for other residents. Because when you have one of these vehicles in your driveway, then chances are you're not able to use your driveway to store cars.
Correct.
Okay? And so as this committee or task force has been reviewing this, we've been trying to figure out, okay, what would be most appropriate and how should the city address this? Granted, right now, there's really nothing that's prohibiting anybody from having one of these vehicles in their drive. So, but yet this has been an ongoing problem. Going back to 1998, when the council at the time tried to pass an ordinance or discuss an ordinance, and it was amended 4 times but never really acted upon. So clearly, we have an issue. People have these vehicles. Nobody is saying you can't have these vehicles, but most homes were not built to store these types of vehicles, especially in the front yard.
Yes.
In front drive. So, the on-street parking issues seem to be an effect of, the on-street parking is not necessarily the problem. It is in some neighborhoods, but it is definitely an effect of the fact that people can't use their driveways because some of them have a boat in it, some have a boat and a trailer, or a boat and something else that's prohibiting cars from parking there.
Yes.
So there was lots of healthy discussion last week in regards to where should we go with this? And in the slide that you showed just a moment ago, you said proposed ordinance indicated 8 feet on the width. Well, I think you said 9 feet.
9 feet,
And I
yes, sir.
think most are built to an 8-foot standard, especially trailers, and that still presents a problem because not all driveways are, say, 16 to 18 feet wide to accommodate vehicle and other
Other,
automobile or truck.
yes.
So some thoughts that came out of the committee the other day were, and I'm just going to read these off. We're still having very robust discussion about all this. And again, these meetings are open. Anybody can come. And I thank Councilwoman Villafranca for being there because this is not just about me, but it helps to have another set of ears there listening. But vehicle must be parked on owner's property on improved surface. Well, that is required now,
Yes.
improved surface,
Yes,
okay?
sir.
Not half grass and half improved surface, because there are vehicles that are parked on both. Vehicle must be either behind a setback or behind a screen. These are things that we're talking about, so just be aware. The setback being the front, behind the front face of a house. Vehicle must have current license or registration. That's a little harder to enforce since we don't necessarily see the rear of these vehicles. Vehicle must be within the state of Texas, must be legal within the state of Texas with respect to length, width, height, and weight. While that could be true, that may not be applicable because I know of one resident who's called me, their next door neighbor has a RV, and the RV was wider than the drive, and their eave of their house overhangs the drive, so they can't pull it back behind the front setback, okay? They're actually parking on part of the neighbor's property.
Wow.
Which, that's a civil matter. I can't get involved in that.
Right.
Vehicle may be parked on street or in driveway for staging, loading, unloading for a maximum of 24 hours. Okay. Let's see. Police retain the current process where police may grant exceptions and issue parking permits on the street for a limited and defined period. And then we were also talking about commercial equipment, work trucks and whatnot, which are not RVs, boats, trailers, utility trailers, whatnot. They're not currently allowed to be parked on residential property, correct?
Currently, they are.
They are.
Yes.
Okay. Seemed to me like we had a issue on Farmers Branch Lane where somebody was parking a work truck and then they were told they couldn't, but I guess we'll come back to that. Then the issue of, okay, if at some point in the future the council decides to do something, what's an appropriate grace period? I keep going back. Richardson gave their residents 2 years. They inventoried everything. They gave everybody 2 years. They set a date. That's probably too much for Farmers Branch and probably would not be palatable. So somewhere between 6 months and a year seemed to be what is coming from the committee.
Okay.
So, and then there was the issue of would anything be allowed to be grandfathered? Well, if you don't have an ordinance, you can't grandfather something. And so there seems to be a lot of confusion where that came from.
Yes, sir.
So we had some discussion about that. But I think we're getting good feedback. You know, I had a town hall meeting months ago, and this was one of the topics that was discussed. So residents know that this is being discussed. It's top of mind for a lot of folks, maybe more so in certain parts of the city than others. But that doesn't mean that any one part of the city that's not talking about it is any less important than any other part of the city. So we will continue to have some healthy discussion about this. And again, this whole purpose is to help me get a better understanding, and more as a follow-up to the town hall that I had. Excuse me. I would encourage any resident to reach out to their representative to have a discussion about these types of vehicles in their own neighborhoods, should they so desire. Let me ask, Councilwoman, would you have any comments you'd like to ask?
Yes, thank you so much. The meetings have been very helpful and enlightening. I think that the majority of us would agree that there's going to have to be some kind of a compromise. And I do really sympathize with people that love to have all of their toys parked in front of their house and look at them all the time. I can relate to that. But I do believe that the majority of people on the task force are in agreement that we should have a compromise. And maybe if you're able to keep your trailer, RV, boat, behind the setback where it's not really visible, that seems to be a good compromise. And looking at other cities, like our neighboring cities, Addison, Carrollton, and Irving, prohibit having those kinds of trailers. I think that there are a few residents that feel like it's not really necessary, but I think when a lot of it is aesthetics is the impression that I'm getting from residents that I speak to, because when you live on a large lot, it doesn't really matter that much. Our neighbor across the street has a small trailer. You wouldn't even know it was there if you drove by. But some of the lots that are much smaller, I think, you open your door or you look out your window and there's like these giant things staring at you, or a giant, motorhome or travel trailer. And I think that becomes sort of an issue for some residents. So I do think we're going to have a compromise, a healthy compromise.
Yep, and let me just add too that the majority of folks that are on this task force all have these vehicles.
Actually, all
one-
of them. All
Yeah.
of them have a motorhome or a trailer.
Yeah, that one or more of these vehicles. And I think we only have one member right now who doesn't have one. And so it's been interesting. I really feel like we're getting good, fair, and balanced input on this topic, especially from those who do currently own them. So those are my comments. We'll start down here with Councilwoman Bennett.
So I had sent something. Can you repeat what the police have for their ordinance or how they implement what we have today?
And could you clarify the question that you're asking me, what the police have?
Yeah, what they can do. What is their policy?
The general regulations for the police department is basically any vehicle that's parked upon the street
Okay.
here in Farmers Branch.
So that's the reason I asked, because I had sent to Ben on August 29th, House Bill 2464. A no-impact home-based business is a home-based business that, one, at any time on the property where the business is operated, has a total number of employees and clients at the property does not exceed a city's occupancy limits, not really negligible to us. Number two, does not generate on-street parking or a substantial increase in traffic in the area. And was told that really didn't apply to us, but from what I'm understanding, it does. If it's generating on-street parking, and we're not talking just about the RVs at that point, but it's those oversized work vehicles. So is that going to be worked into this?
Then on task with this, the oversized vehicles and trailers is what I've been,
That's good. Ben?
For House Bill 2464, when we looked at this one, the city zoning addresses this through the comprehensive zoning, and we have that with allowable occupations. That was earlier this year, I believe, when planning brought that before the council. And it's a little bit looser in one aspect that we allow parking on the curb, but it doesn't, whereas the House bill does not. So we allow you to park in front of your house as far as generating home-based or businesses in relation to traffic, but we have the same moments in that bill as well. You can't generate traffic, you can't subtract from the neighborhood, except for those businesses that are allowed, even then there's some carve-outs for them. But we can definitely review it and see how it would fit in with this as well. But as we've read it, our CZO already addresses the majority of those concerns in the bill.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Reed.
I think an additional aspect of this is we've had complaints in the past of not just a trailer being in the driveway, but a trailer full of trash or something that's very visually unbecoming. So you kind of, one man's trash is another man's treasure type thing. So, where do you draw the line between, an RV that's parked in the driveway with 4 flat tires, that's covered with a tarp, whatever, and a brand-new RV? So there's a spectrum there, and it's kind of, it makes it difficult for whether it's code enforcement or the police to assess, okay, where do you draw the line? So you have to go either all or nothing in that. So that's an additional aspect to the parking challenges that are created, as well as the business vehicles that are out there as well.
Councilman Roman?
So, I definitely think that the way we construct this ordinance certainly needs to reflect that of a compromise. I think some of the concerns that I've received, in particular for my district, is not to, boats, campers, and RVs, but they're more so concerned about the implications that this is going to have on their work vehicles. Now, I don't want to see, if I was living next to a home that had a trailer with a bunch of junk, I wouldn't want to live next to that. And I'm not advocating that we allow those types of vehicles, but that have trash and junk. But I just want to make sure that we're not going to be disabling somebody from making an income if they've got, their work vehicle coming home with them, and it's parked there either on the curb or in their backyard, wherever it might be hidden. I certainly have seen the issue with boats, campers, and RVs in my district, and I want to make sure that the ordinance is specific to that. I just want to make sure that, again, the way we draft this can exclude, those vehicles that serve some type of employment-related function that don't have junk.
Thank you. Thank you for the comment. In fact, one of our task force members has a welding trailer. And so we've had some pretty robust discussion about that. So I would say, in my estimation, it would be premature for this council to take action at this point on this item. I would like to ask, I think we're probably needing 2 more meetings, in my estimation, to really get and flush this out and get to a point that we could come back with maybe some more valuable input to recommend for the council to consider. And so I'd like to respectfully ask that we have that time. We're not going to drag this out. This isn't something I want going on too long. I think it'll be pretty easy, and we made good progress this last meeting, so.
I wasn't really clear on the House Bill 2464 for home-based businesses, how that, the connection. Was it because of work trucks? Is that what that was about? So this is unrelated, I think, to work trucks.
oversized.
It's basically RVs, trailers, and like boats. You know, there's two boats over off of Josie that have been there for decades, maybe.
But we have, in my district.
Yes.
Specifically, I think you may have been referencing this. We have a home-based business that has trailers that park in the driveway with lots of junk in them, forcing the cars into the streets. But those are work trailers. So it's a weird caveat in a scenario, but
So
it happens.
I think what might be helpful is I will get copies of 2464 to provide to the task force also to let them look at it. And again, since the council has not had any council-wide town hall meetings, I think it's imperative that we have these discussions, just trying to get public input and buy-in. This is going to be something that whatever action is taken is going to affect a lot of people for the negative, possibly. And I'm just advocating that we try to be sensitive to that. So
Yes, sir.
I think it's important to get as many points of view as possible on this issue. Councilman Neal?
Yeah, I would just like to add, I would concur that we might want to look at that 9-foot wide issue again. Some of our streets are narrow already, so we back that up to 8. Anything could be in help there. But I do think, Mayor, we should be able to act on this maybe by the end of October or 1st of November. There should be sufficient time to have at least 2 more meetings.
I think so.
With your committee. I think, from what I can tell from the city, they seem to be in a reasonably good position with what they presented so far. I don't know if there's any additional modifications that Councilman Roman might want to add, but I don't think it would be a major modification to what has been presented by the city so far. So I'm hoping we could
Yeah.
move this along by end of October, early November.
We're making, I think, good progress, and I think that's probably reasonable. And if it's not, we'll report back.
I'd like to also add, I really would like for us to have a just grace period as well, something that
Yeah.
is fair for people. And people that are coming in and out of work every day is one thing, but I think people whose travel trailers are, just sitting there for endless amount of time, that they're like two different things in my mind.
And I just want to add one last thing. I do had a request or a future agenda item to have the attorneys discuss with us those bills and activities that have gone on in Austin. And this might be another bill that they could include with some clarification along with the other House bills that could be brought forward for explanation.
Yeah, we'll be sure and add that to the list.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So no
Thank you,
action,
Mayor.
no action at this time.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and read us into executive session. I have 2 items. First item, the city council will convene in closed executive session pursuant to section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, personnel to deliberate the appointment, employment, compensation, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, the municipal court judge pursuant to section 28-23 of the Farmers Branch Code of Ordinances. And second item, city council will convene in closed executive session pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to seek legal advice regarding matters related to Dallas area rapid transit, including but not limited to correspondence programs, funding agreements, and any associated legal rights, obligations, or potential actions. So we will go recess to the conference room to have that discussion, and we will be back out here at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much.